I was starting to feel that like hopelessness was taking over. And then I saw a news spot on TV about Neuralink and about Nolan. And I was like, wow, this is, Neuralink, Elon Musk, Austin, like it was checking all the boxes. So I researched it, and on their website, they had the patient registry. And at the time, it was I think the protocols were much tighter in that they were really opening it up to only spinal cord injuries. But I filled out the form regardless, indicating, I have partial to total paralysis in my limbs, and I wasn't really expecting to hear anything back. And it was probably 6 months after that I had my implant in Phoenix, so the Barrow team contacted me and said, we think you'd be a really good candidate for this if you're still interested. And then it moved pretty quickly from there.
Wow. And you said you got it in June.
Yeah, June of this year. Yeah, June 13th. Yeah.
I mean, you're still pretty new.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how fast the time has gone by.
What was it like to go from hopelessness to suddenly having even just the thought of what it could be like and then actually living with Neuralink?
It's not like anything that I can explain other than like you watch slowly as like things are taken away, and for like to be selected out of everyone on this planet, to be selected for that and say, we're giving this back to you. I mean, it's very powerful stuff. Like it was like a gift from God, honestly. Like I felt like I was down to nothing, and then this came along and everything lined up perfectly. Like I knew my time being able to work was dwindling, but I didn't want to leave my job and not have anything to do during the day.
For sure.
And so like being accepted for the trial lined up perfectly with offloading from my everyday job. And kind of towards the end, the work I was doing, it kind of felt, my heart wasn't really in it towards the end. And now I have this thing that I'm waking up passionate about working with every day. And I work with engineers for 2-3 hours a day. And,
wow.
Being able to like wake up and have something to look forward to when you didn't have it before, it kept me going.
This is one of just 12 known Neuralink patients in the world. Neuralink, the brain-computer interface company co-founded by Elon Musk, is developing implantable devices designed to reconnect people with the digital world through the power of thought alone.
And you simply navigate around and you close out each of these bubbles as they pop up. So each color corresponds with a different click.
That's so crazy. What the heck?
So
no hands. I mean, literally, this is like nuts.
Yeah. So usually I'll start every morning out for about 20 minutes, just kind of calibrating.
The technology is still developing, but its purpose is clear: to restore independence for those who've lost it. Neuralink is helping patients with quadriplegia, ALS, and other severe neurological conditions, giving them the ability to communicate, work, and even control devices using only their mind. And I had to see this in person to believe it. I was fortunate enough to interview P7, who lives in Austin.
Yeah, my name is Jake Schneider, Schneider. I'm 35 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, and I've been here since about 2016.
Where were you from before that?
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, actually. Cool. Grew up in St. Louis, went to the University of Missouri, and then after college, I worked for a small startup, women's health surgical device company in Kansas City. and then moved to Austin for another women's health startup.
Okay.
So that's what brought me here.
Jake says he feels like he's won the lottery twice, to be diagnosed with ALS in his early 30s and then to be selected for Neuralink. So I asked him how exactly he found out he had ALS in the first place.
It was pretty bizarre. My symptoms started in like April of 21. And it started as like I had this muscle twitch in my left bicep, and to the point where it was like twitching nonstop. It was like fireworks underneath the surface of my skin, just constantly popping. It wasn't inhibiting me from anything. Like I didn't have any issues. It was just kind of like the annoyance of it constantly twitching. And I put it off for probably, I don't know, 6-8 months. Like, maybe you're dehydrated, drink some more water, eat a banana. And it wasn't spreading at all. It was just kind of confined to that one spot. So I put it off, and then eventually I was like, you know what? Let's just go to the doctor. I need a checkup anyways. So I went to my primary care doctor, and he's like, well, I've never really seen anything like this. He's like, I can try and give you like some muscle relaxers to help it quiet down, but, I'm going to have to refer you to a neurologist. So, they put the referral in 3 months to get an appointment. And I went in there to this neurologist, not really thinking it was something like a pinched nerve or maybe a slightly herniated muscle, something very benign. And the initial appointment, he was like, to know more, I'll have to bring you back and do an EMG test, but it could be a wide range of things, something benign, like just a benign muscle twitch. He's like, or there could be other things, down the pipeline that we shouldn't talk about now because I won't know until we do the test. So I went back into the test, and in EMG, if you're not familiar, the first part is they send electric shock waves through your muscles and look for the feedback that it receives. And then the second part is they take like a very small like radio needle, and they stick that into your muscle and have you like flex, and they listen for like static feedback almost from like a radio. I didn't really think anything was abnormal during the test, and he came back about 10 minutes later and was like, hey, what have you researched on your own about what this could be? And I'm like, well, best case, it's just like a muscle twitch, something that maybe I go to physical therapy for and work out. Worst case scenario, there's things like Parkinson's. And he's like, well, have you researched ALS at all? And I was just like, I mean, I know what ALS is, but like pertaining to this situation, no, not really. And he's like, well, your EMG came back conclusive of someone with, probable ALS. And at the time, I had gone in there, it was like, it was President's Day. It was February 21st, 22. I had the day, it was a company holiday, so I made the appointment. And so I'm there by myself, not thinking anything. And we had that conversation. He was kind of a younger doctor. It looked like not too far out of school. I was a OR, surgical device rep, so I was working with doctors all the time. Yeah. And I could tell he was greener than he was seasoned, but, he had this conversation with me, and he was like, the documentation and the clinical data says you should expect about 2 to 5 years to live. He's like, given your situation, though, I think you could expect somewhere from like 7 to 10. And it's like, for a 31-year-old, otherwise healthy, like in that moment, it's like, how do you quantify that? Like, how do you make sense of all that? And so I left there distraught. I mean, just everything turned upside down. And of course, the initial reaction was complete denial, you
I
know.
was gonna say.
I was in denial. I think I probably lost the following year of my life just consumed by denial. I sought out second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. And once you have a diagnosis like that in your medical record, other doctors are going to have to see something really conclusive for them to be the guy that's going to flip that diagnosis, right?
Right.
So I traveled all over the country seeking the best ALS doctors in the country, and they all came back with the same conclusion that, you know, probably ALS. And the most frustrating thing for ALS patients like myself is that there's no single blood test, any sort of test that can definitively tell you, yes, you have ALS. It's a diagnosis of exclusion. So they're going to throw the kitchen sink of tests at you and try and find something else. But all the tests I did, I think I did 5 different spinal taps over a 10-month period, which a spinal tap of lumbar puncture is not something I'd wish on anyone, but all these tests I did, they all came back clean. They all came back non-conclusive for anything. So, and it was easy for me at the time to be in denial because the twitch was confined to that left bicep.
Yeah.
It didn't spread. My job, I was traveling a lot, so I was in 3-4 different cities a week, and it was easy because if people out there don't know that I have it, then, you know, I don't have it. But over time, I was noticing that, like, my carry-on was getting harder to get up in the overhead. My surgical mask was getting harder to tie behind my head. My scrubs were getting harder to tie. And things just kind of started slipping a little bit. I noticed that the twitch was moving both up towards my shoulder and then down towards my hands. So the first thing that I noticed was the shoulder weakness for sure. And then slowly but surely it spread bilaterally to the right side. And then it got to the point where I couldn't really lift anything of more than, you know, a couple pounds, and couldn't write. Couldn't really do anything. And that was a humbling experience because it's like, there's no running from this anymore, you know? Like, you really have to, like, sit down and look at it. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to take a step back from work. I need to reevaluate what's going on. But once my arms were compromised, you know, then my gait started to be affected. And, you know, this twitch started in April of 21. And by February of 22, I had a positive ALS diagnosis.
Wow.
So,
And what is that like today? What does your arm feel like, and what does that function now?
my arms are essentially just kind of dead weight hanging at my side.
Can you feel the twitch anymore, or is it?
I can't really feel the twitches now that I've had so much muscle atrophy in my arms. My arms, it's just like this heavy, like dull throb where I'm just supporting these limbs at my side. Really haven't been able to do much with my hands for probably close to about a year now.
Wow.
And, you know, I went from an environment where I was on my feet in the operating room every day to then moving me behind my computer to then where, you know, I'd have to stand up and one finger peck each key. I'd have to guide the mouse around with 2 hands. And I knew that, like, the quality of life that I was experiencing by just trying to hang on, like, it wasn't worth, you know, the stress and everything that I was going through. So I had enrolled in a couple different medical drug trials, saw those through to completion, and the data came back very insignificant. I mean, they weren't even close to causing a difference between the drug group and the control group. So it was like I was starting to feel that like hopelessness was taking over. And then I saw a news spot on TV about Neuralink and about Nolan.
Nolan received his Neuralink implant in January of 2024 for a spinal cord injury, and he is patient number 1, a true Neuralink pioneer.
And for like to be selected out of everyone on this planet, to be selected for that and say, we're giving this back to you. I mean, it's very powerful stuff. Like it was like a gift from God, honestly. Like I felt like I was down to nothing, and then this came along, and everything lined up perfectly. Like I knew my time being able to work was dwindling, but I didn't want to leave my job and not have anything to do during the day.
For sure.
And so like being accepted for the trial lined up perfectly with offloading from my everyday job. And kind of towards the end, the work I was doing, it kind of felt my heart wasn't really in it towards the end. And now I have this thing that I'm waking up passionate about working with every day. And I work with the engineers for 2-3 hours a day. And
wow,
being able to like wake up and have something to look forward to when you didn't have it before, it kept me going. One of the biggest things is like my son is 6 years old. He plays baseball. I can't do things that normal dads do. I can't ride a bike with him. I can't play catch, but like we hooked this Neuralink up to his Nintendo Switch and we played Mario Kart together, and it was one of those happy moments that I thought I never have again.
yeah, wow.
So I'm very fortunate to have been selected for this, and I almost feel an obligation because ALS is such a terrible disease that typically affects a much older population. And so the ability to construct like a meaningful clinical trial to find new drug therapies is almost impossible because this population declines so quickly.
Yeah.
And, in my eyes, I thought, I don't think we're any closer to finding a cure now than we were 100 years ago. But if I can do something impactful with technology and move at the speed that technology moves, like maybe I can help the next guy who is alone in an exam room and is told, this is what you got. If I can just do something that makes their life a little bit easier, then, it's all worth it.
So I asked Jake, how did he prepare mentally to have this brain implant and knowing that he's only the 7th patient of Neuralink? Of course, we now say it's not rocket science, and we used to say it's not brain surgery, but in this case, it was brain surgery. Jake received an N1 implant, which is cosmetically invisible. It records and transmits brain activity with the goal of enabling the patient to control a computer, which luckily he can now.
And I tried leading up to the procedure not to let myself get too far one way or another, excited or nervous. Sorry.
It's okay.
So, at the end of the day, it is brain surgery. And but in meeting with the surgical team, like, I felt so comforted because the way that they spoke and the way that they were attentive to my questions, it was like they've done this a million times over, and it was so routine that I really didn't have too many nerves at all leading up to it. I was more just anxious, like, okay, when can we turn this thing on? Like, when can we start doing this? But, yeah, I flew from Austin to Phoenix, like, 4 days before the procedure. Had the procedure on a Friday. So since my implant has the 128 leads coming off of the device, the operative time, I think, was just under about 5 hours.
Were you awake?
No, you're asleep. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that Dr. Ponce, I believe, does other procedures where patients are awake during the procedure, and maybe they have the capability of doing that for Neuralink. I would always want to be asleep. I don't. I've been in the operating room a lot with, and I think it would be better for me to be asleep.
Oh,
but
yeah.
the surgical team there was so great. I mean, from the moment, I went back to pre-op to like the moment I woke up and then went home, they were so caring and everything. And post-op, I mean, the pain was very minimal. Like, I don't know, I've had hangovers worse, to be honest. It was a very easy recovery. They sent me home with some pain medication, but I think I started taking ibuprofen by like the third day. And then I hung around in Phoenix for 14 days post-op just for the staples to heal. And then I went in, they popped the staples out, they turned it on, and...
So you had to wait for it to turn on.
Yeah, and so when the device is implanted, there's a very limited battery life. I think it might have been like something around 20% or under. So for the first like week, me and the engineer and the field team, we would connect to it, do a couple tasks, and then, immediately shut it off afterwards. And it was, I believe it was at that second week that we were able to start charging it, because the charger slightly heats up the device, and they didn't want anything to interfere with the incision healing. So once we were able to turn it on fully and I was able to charge it up to 100, I think I spent probably like, I don't know, 18 of the following 24 hours like connected to this thing, because it's like, to go from not being able to really do anything to being able to zoom around at a speed that I was never really able to achieve before. I mean, it felt like flying, honestly. And it's a sensation that you can't really explain to anyone else. But for me, I knew that I made the right decision, and that cards and the stars aligned for this to all happen for me. And so when I look at my life, there are unfortunate things that have happened for sure. But I'm also very blessed to be in the position I am.
Was there any maybe disbelief of is this thing really going to work?
Yeah. And there were, the conversations that we had leading up to the procedure as we're going through the consent, that there's a real possibility that we could put it in your brain and it not do anything,
Right.
It works for other people, but it could, just not work in yours. And at the time, I'm like, well, I'm in the camp where I have nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if that's the risk, then I'm willing to take it, because I felt that the pros outweighed the cons. And no matter what, it was going to be for the betterment of science and advancement of this technology. So the way I looked at it, for me, my generation, being selected for this was like being selected to be one of the first men on the moon, you know? And I thought about it, and I thought about my son, and I thought about, you know, it is a risk, but I would be kicking myself if I didn't go through with it.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in my future, I want my son to be able to look back and be like, my dad did that, you know? So, I mean, all of this, you know, was really to show him that you can get knocked down, you can get completely wiped and knocked on your ass, but you control your ability to get back up, and you control your ability to how you respond to things. And I had a decision to make that I could accept my disease for what it is and start living again, or continue to be mad at the world and be mad at everyone and, you know, just waste away. So, you know, I just started to start living again.
Tell me some examples of like what you couldn't do before. Like, could you not type a text? Could you not, like, what did it get to, and what can you do now that?
Yeah, I mean, typing a text, extremely difficult. I mean, iPhones, unfortunately, are not getting any smaller or lighter in weight. Mm-hmm. So it's like I was constantly fumbling around this phone. I was letting texts go without responding to them just because it was like, it was hard to do. And now with the Neuralink, I have the ability to mirror my iPhone onto this computer. So like, I'm responding instantly with full responses, not just like yes, no, one-word responses. And I'd lost the ability to do that before. I used to like to play a lot of video games. And it became to the point where I could no longer grip the controller, hold the controller. And, you know, I thought there's something I'd never be able to do again. And they're like, well, guess what? We've got this program on here. It pops up. It looks just like a gamepad controller. And you just think about what button you want to press, and it does it.
We've got to see this, by
So,
the way.
yeah. So I've been able to get things back that I thought I'd never be able to do again. But I think one of the best parts, not only is getting function back for things, but this team that we work with, they truly value my feedback on things because none of them have an implant, right? So it's like they need as much information, feedback, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what's working. And like real time, I'm giving feedback one day, and the next day it's being implemented into action.
That's so cool. So
to be a part of like this scientific process of advancing this, like I truly feel like, you know, all my life, this was what I was called to do. I mean, it's amazing, and I'm, like I said, it's only been a couple months, and I still am blown away that it's like I'm part of this.
And are all those like feedback things over the air? Is it just like an over the air software update?
Yeah.
Nothing invasive.
You know, I wish I was as smart as those folks, but they go back with their team and work on something, and the next day they have like a new model for me to work on. So it's been a really fun trial and error process of all these different projects that we're working on, and seeing them, you know, incrementally get better, you know, day after day. Like we're getting better every single day.
I bet you wish that everyone with your condition could have Neuralink.
Yeah, I mean, it's and not just for ALS, but for other neurodegenerative diseases. I mean, like for me, it gave me hope back, and it kept me pushing forward. And I know there are people out there that are in a hopeless state that, I was in. And so that's why I think we work so hard every day to try and make this as best we can. So one day everyone can have one. And, I think that would be very gratifying to look back on and say that, I helped advance that.
Do you keep in contact or know any of the other patients?
Yeah, so we're actually all in a Slack group together.
Nice.
So we're constantly, every day, talking about different things we're working on, showing, folks new things that we can do. And it seems like we're also constantly welcoming new people to the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 7 and now we're at 11, I think.
Wow.
So it's really cool to watch it grow. And, I'm starting to feel like I'm not the new kid on the block anymore. Yeah. But no, all the patients in this are truly inspiring people. And I think we all kind of take and give a little bit to each other and, find inspiration in ways that, and ideas that we never thought of before. Because, these people that are in this trial, they were at one point 100% independent, and it's so powerful and encouraging to see, like, when people are forced with a setback, that's truly what it is. It's just a setback. And I mean, these are some of the, I don't know, it feels like I've known these people my entire life because of kind of the unique connection that we have. And we all come from different backgrounds and different circumstances,
Right.
but like we all have the same common goal that we want to see all of us, try and make this thing better.
Yeah.
And there's a speed record out there that this is slight competition as well. When I received my implant, I had set a BPS speed record of over 10.0. I was like 10.06. And one of the other participants was like, well, I beat you on that. So now I'm trying to beat that score. So there is a little, intramural battle that we have going on with each other, but
the cranial CrossFit.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's just been some of the most rewarding months of my life so far, being a part of this. And
Wow.
I would love to get another one. When I was able to hold a controller, I would play like sports games and like Call of Duty. But when I'm on this, I really enjoyed playing like city building games where you're kind of building like a civilization. It's easier right now because those games, it's pretty much just like clicking and dragging. Mm-hmm. But we've been testing out the gamepad, and I'm almost to the point where I think I can like go online and play like Call of Duty against other people. But I was like, I don't want you guys to show me doing it because I don't want a bunch of little kids to be beating me until. So wait until I'm actually proficient and good at it. But we're getting there every day.
I was going to say, even with just like normally, it's hard. I mean, that.
I know, yeah.
For me, at least.
Yeah, and it's crazy because this joystick program that we're working on, if you imagine like holding a controller that has two joysticks, the one joystick obviously controls your directional walking, forward, backward, left, right, and then the other one controls where you're looking or aiming. So I control
Sounds like a lot to manage.
So I control the movement with my wrist and the aim with my thumb. So I imagine moving my wrist around. Like if I want to walk forward, I imagine just pushing my wrist forward. And now if I want to look left or right, I just imagine swinging my thumb around.
And with that, you can't have like any latency, is there? With your imaginations versus like...
Yeah, no, and in fact, the rate at which I'm able to command and move is faster than what the normal human brain can achieve.
That's great.
So in theory, I should have a built-in competitive advantage when it comes to video games. I just have to get better at it.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
But yeah, I mean, I imagine there's going to be a day where there's going to be, because there's competitive video game playing now, but I imagine there's going to be a different league for people that, for us cyborgs that have a
yeah.
a Neuralink. So,
There has to be, right?
right.
So, yeah. How should I help you?
If you wanted to grab that ball cap, so the ball cap, there's a coil in there.
Yes.
If you just want to plop that on top of my head. Perfect.
Okay.
And then if you wouldn't mind opening the lid of this laptop.
Yep.
Excellent. And then
Does this need to be on more? Or is it
so it's actually kind of,
It's good? Okay.
yeah, it's kind of fitting. And there's a button that's right there. Yep.
Is that it? Or
It
more?
should,
Oh, there we
there
go.
we go. So now what we do is, I'll say implant on. So now we're connecting. It kind of takes a second to connect. So this charger, so the coil slides into the hat, and this aluminum thing is what you plug into the wall to charge every day. So as it charges up, this green LED light kind of grows around the whole face of the watch almost. And what I usually do is I'll plug the silver piece in overnight to let that charge. And then when I plug it actually into the coil, which charges the implant, that takes about 45 minutes to an hour for it to fully charge. And that charge will last me about 6 to 7 hours, depending on how heavy of, like what types of applications I'm running. But right now we are connected to the device. So this is the Link app, and your cursor control, right now I have very fluid, very good control. But if you go a period of time without doing what they call the calibration, which is right here. So with the Neuralink, you have the ability to control 3 different clicks: a left click, a right click, and a middle click. And what this mode is the calibration. So if ever I started to feel that my cursor control started to get a little jumpy or not as smooth as I would like, we come into here to calibration, and you simply navigate around and you close out each of these bubbles as they pop up. So each color corresponds with a different click.
That's so crazy. What the heck?
So
No hands. I mean, literally, this is like nuts.
Yeah. So usually I'll start every morning out for about 20 minutes, just kind of calibrating. And time actually passes a lot faster than you think, because I kind of get in a trance sometimes.
Did you name it?
Yes, it is Iris. And my chargers, I named Gizmo and Gadget. So yeah, it shows you your battery life. And then if you actually want to see what it looks like, what the data looks like, so you pull this screen up. There's 128 threads coming from the implant into the motor cortex of my brain. And each of these lines represent one of those threads.
Whoa.
Now, as this adjusts real time, to the naked eye, we can't distinguish any difference in that. but the model is working. So it's constantly interpreting this data. And with each movement I make, there are small adjustments that we can't see that it's taking into account.
That's so, in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, it's like tracking his eyes, but it's like, no, it's literally your brain that's doing. So like, how could you best describe like, how do you command or, use this?
So at first, it was when you first get the implant put into your brain, the model needs to learn what your intended motions are.
Right.
So when I first started calibrating, it was very much, I was thinking of, okay, I want this cursor to move from the right side of the screen over to the left. So I would imagine, sliding my hand across, like a desktop. Mm-hmm. But once you put enough data into the model that it recognizes what your intended motions are, I would say it's just like the thought process that you would have when moving a mouse around. It's like you don't even think about it. When I am trying to navigate to something, I'm not thinking direction, go this way, go that way. I'm simply just like, I want to navigate to this X, so that's where I'm going to go.
That is so nuts. Was there a learning curve at all? Like, in the beginning, was it kind of hard?
And so, yeah, that was one of the things that kind of blew me out of the water, because I was thinking, okay, we're trying to achieve cursor control, and I thought that would take me quite some time to get the hang of, but I think the first day that the field team came and helped me set everything up, within like an hour, I was already setting speed scores that...
Wow.
Yeah, I found the learning curve to be very, very shallow. Like, it was not... I did not find it to be hard to grasp the concept at all. And honestly, I think a lot of that is the power of the model that's in the background. Because your brain waves are different from day to day. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, what would be interpreted as moving in the up direction, today could be interpreted as moving in the down direction. Mm-hmm. The model has to do work behind the scenes to recognize that change, and then recognize what my intended movement is, while accounting for that change. So it's very crazy in that it's kind of like a human muscle, where like the more data you put into this muscle and the more that you use it, the stronger it's going to get and the smoother your control is going to be. What we currently work with is I can voice dictate this note, or I can pop up this keyboard from the bottom and start typing this way. There's currently a program that we are working on called 10-figure typing, where this keyboard is divided up by fingers on each hand, and each row of characters corresponds with a different movement. So it becomes just like you're typing on a keyboard. If I wanted to type a W, I would imagine extending my left ring finger. If I wanted to imagine typing an M, I would imagine curling in my right ring finger to my palm. So the way that we work with this program is they'll give me a series of sentences like, the brown fox jumped over the, stuff like that. And as you're practicing typing, the model is taking that data and interpreting as this is what you're intending to type. So after a while, we got to a point where it's like, okay, let's test this model. And I typed my name, and I was imagining that I was just typing on a keyboard, and it was picking up how to spell my name. And that, for me, like, I think I've always been a pretty tech-savvy person. I've always been a pretty fast typer. And when you get reduced down to only being able to peck with one finger, to then being able to have a model where it feels like you're actually just fluidly typing again. Again, it was like a sense of freedom, that an ability that I'd lost that I'd gotten back. It was almost like I got back on a bike for the first time, and it felt so natural because the model, from all the data that I had put into it and practiced, the model knew exactly what I wanted to type. So
Wow.
It's really cool in that it's changing the way that human beings can communicate with one another. We're truly bridging the gap between human thought, interaction, and the need for a physical human body, which I think is...
I was going to say, do you see a future where everyone can have a Neuralink and we won't even need to speak? We can just...
Well, I think, yeah, I think that would be great. If it gets people to stop texting and driving, I think that would be safer for everyone. But I do think we're going to get to a point where instead of people looking down at their phones with their nose down to communicate, I think that this is going to open up a world where we're communicating more on a human level, almost.
I'm curious, does ALS run in your family at all?
It does not.
Wow.
So 90% of ALS cases are sporadic, and around 10% have a genetic or
I didn't realize it was that.
Yeah. So yeah, my case was sporadic. I don't have any family history of it at all.
So you essentially have no idea how it even happens still. I mean, right? Because there's no real...
Yeah, and actually my presentation of ALS is not typical. In fact, the mutation that I have in my DNA has only been studied one time
What?
in all of human history. So
How is yours different? Like what?
So most mutations, I believe, happen on the SOD4 gene, and my mutation appeared on the FIG4 gene. And I was connected with some researchers at a university who we mapped my entire genome, and they took my DNA and put it into a series of lab mice. And about 6-7 lab mice, they were not able to replicate the issue. And some doctors, have told me that, Jake, it might not be ALS. We just have no way of telling. And the hard thing...
Wow, that's crazy. So it could be something else potentially.
Yeah, and the problem in the lack of treatment options that are available for ALS patients, the protocol is really, you go to your multidisciplinary clinic once every 3 months, and you'll see the neurologist, a PT, an OT, respiratory therapist, nutritionist. So you see a whole battery of people, and it's really, they take your measurements that day, and they're like, we'll see you in 3 months, and we'll see if you've progressed or not. And that's really the only things that are available to ALS patients.
Wow. That's got to feel really isolating.
It is, and you go to doctors, hoping and praying that they have answers for you, and when time and time again you're just disappointed, you kind of have to start looking for your own answers, and that's kind of what drew me to Neuralink, is that I think I was in a position where this could A, help me, but B, I could also make a meaningful difference in people's lives. And being patient number 7 was much more, in this trial, was much more attractive than being patient 2,000 whatever in a clinical drug trial.
Yeah.
And you have to be very selective with those things, because when you're in a drug trial, you can't participate in any other trials. So it's like do I want to dedicate, a chunk, months of my life for something that might have good results? It might have some data that comes back with answers, but history has proven that this is a disease that we can't really nail down what's causing it.
What does your son think about it? Can he like understand kind of what what you have now?
He, are you referring to
The Neuralink. The Neuralink.
So yeah, he,
I guess both. I am curious.
he's a very intelligent boy, almost to his own fault, because he's so smart where he calls it my brain chip. He's like, Dad, are you controlling that with your brain chip? And he's told his friends at school, my dad's got this brain chip in his head, and he almost thinks it gives me superpowers. But he uses it. He'll tell me, I'll say, Grayson, you know what? It's getting, pretty late. We need to get going to bed. He's like, it's okay. If I'm tired, I'll just plug my brain in like you do. And so he watches and he sees, because kids, they pick up on everything, whether we believe that or not. And, he has seen me decline over time. And I know that's hard on him because no one else's dad is like that. And he sees me lose the ability to do things, but he loves watching me work on this computer because he sees that I'm able to do things that other people can't. And, for him, that's everything.
Yeah.
And so one day when he can understand things, I want him to be like, wow, man, my dad had a computer chip in his brain, for real. But all of this is for him, like everything I do is to try and show him that, like, your life is what you make it. And he's my inspiration through all this. We were fortunate enough to be able to go to Disney World last Christmas. I've never been to Disney World as a kid, and he had been telling me he wanted to go, and it was like one of the last trips where I felt like I had a shred of my independence left, and it was great to be able to spend that week with him, because he does look up to me. He doesn't see my my physical limitations as he still thinks I'm Superman almost. And it was a really fun trip, and I felt like, as tiring as it was on me, I was like, I'm gonna do this for him because I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it again. So we went on every ride, and he had a blast. And I thought I loved roller coasters, but now some of them, they were really fast for me, and
Yeah.
but he loved it. He's fearless, and he's just really special.
Now, where is it?
So it's on the left.
Do you mind if I show that?
Yeah, of course.
Is it just this bump right here?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So since I'm right hand dominant,
Oh.
it's implanted on the left side of my brain. And the implant itself is like the size of a quarter, essentially.
Does the Neuralink team, as part of the study, like help cover all of the costs of your care and everything involved with Neuralink?
They reimburse for stuff like every 3 months. I have to go back out to Phoenix for check-ins. So they reimburse everything, travel, lodging, that sort of thing. They provide the laptop, the stands and stuff. But I'm not at the point now where I'm using too much assistive equipment. Like I have my chair, and they have an adaptation of this laptop stand that I can put on the chair. But other than that, I don't have too much that needs like upkeep or paying for right now. But one of the projects we're working on is a robotic arm. And with it being an external device, the engineers will bring it to my house. I'll use it, and then they'll take it away with them. Mm-hmm. The idea is I can't use it by myself in case it goes haywire or I punch through the TV or something. I don't know. But
you've tried it?
I've done the online simulation and training models. I think I have a video of it. But I haven't actually had it to my house yet.
Yeah, how much of a game changer would that be?
I think it would be really great. It's got like it's like one of those things that you use to like get a grabber to get stuff off like a high shelf. It's kind of like that, but it can extend out, come in, articulate. So it will help me, especially when I'm moving around in the chair and I need to pick something up or hold something. It'll definitely help in that regard.
Yeah, because like what, can you pick things up now or not? No.
I mean, I can pick my phone up, but I kind of have to like.
Yeah,
I have to get it like on top, and then I just kind of go like this. But anything, can't really lift anything above the level of like my waistline. I mean, you learn adaptive ways to do things.
Yeah.
You lose the ability to do something one way, you kind of modify it. So there's some things I can still do clumsily, but I'm starting to realize that I don't need to be a hero. Like, I've gotten a lot better with letting other people help me out with things, because I'm either going to make a mess, fall, or break something, and none of those are good options. So it takes a lot of swallowing your pride, and because, I'll sit there and I'll fumble with things for 10, 15 minutes before I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to ask for help. And that's me being stubborn and still trying to hang on to things, but I have a really great support system around me, and honestly, I think that's the most important thing for a patient with ALS, is making sure that you have that support system, because it's not really fun realizing that it's harder to bathe yourself, it's harder to do all these things, and having to ask for help in some of those things. It feels like your dignity is being taken away a little bit, but it's people that love you and will do anything for you. So I've been fortunate to have that in my corner. But like I still try, and it can affect me. It can affect how my body moves or how it doesn't move. But like, it's never gonna touch my mind. So like, keeping my mental health strong in light of physical decline has kind of been something that I've really tried to stay on top of, because you have to be able to accept that things are going to disappear and you're going to lose the ability to do things, but like, it doesn't change who you are, and it doesn't change. I mean, it takes me longer to do things, but I'm still the same person. And people people see the chair and they see the frail body and they see all the physical stuff. But being able to keep yourself mentally strong when everyone's kind of wanting to put you in a box and, So that's why I love having this every day, because like this is something I independently do, like myself, and no one else can do it for me. Like no one else can move the cursor around, like only I can. So it's truly been like I try and think about my life, and before I couldn't remember what my life was like before my diagnosis, and now it's like I can't remember what my life was like before Neuralink. Wow. Even it's been such a short time. I just think that it's really changed the way that I attack each day. It's not what's gonna break down on me today. It's more like, what can we achieve today? There's a misconception that since there's a device in your brain that opens up the floodgates on all your thoughts, and anyone can have access to your thoughts, or another misinterpretation is that for people that lost or have paralysis in limbs, that they're going to regain function. That would be great, but what the real utility is to give the ability back to those people to communicate and interact with people through their devices. Mm-hmm. It's Bluetooth enabled, so anything in theory that has a Bluetooth connectivity, in theory, you could be able to use the Neuralink for, whether they build applications out for all that stuff or not. Mm-hmm. But it is a Bluetooth connected device. And one of the questions I first had is like, one of my hobbies before I really started losing the dexterity in my hands was I had a drone that I like to fly. And I was like, so in theory, like I could fly this drone with my brain, right? I'm like, well, possibly, but there's also commercial airliners in the air as well. Yeah. And I live less than 15 minutes from the Austin airport, so it's like I'm definitely in a crowded airspace, and so they were like, with it, there would be a lot of regulation and stuff that would have to happen. But to think that there would be a day that people were flying things with their brain, I don't know. I guess never say never, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I think that it doesn't turn you into a robot. I mean, we like to joke that we're cyborgs, but I'm just another regular guy that was lucky enough to be chosen for this, and so as robotic and futuristic and cyborgy as it is, there is very much a human component to it. Mm-hmm. And the humans that I'm fortunate enough to work with every day on it really make it worthwhile. And I think that if people are skeptic about it, just listen to one of our stories. Yep. Because, I mean, I can say it's changed my life for the better, and I know everyone else, that's participating can say the same. Yeah. So research, and I think people also kind of, with the advancement of AI, they think that there's artificial intelligence component to fabricating artificial thoughts, but it doesn't make me smarter to my knowledge yet. But I don't know. I think it's human instinct and human nature to be skeptical of something when you first see it, sure. But I mean, that's why, like, there has to be people that are willing to take a risk and make the leap and really buy into this. And I can't imagine my life without it. I mean, it's a 5-year trial, and I think at the end of 5 years, I hope that I can either get another one, or they'll have another implant that can help me. But I think that the work that we're doing is really meaningful, and it's helping people that have lost so much. And it's hard for people that are not in that position to really understand what that means.
Sure.
People, it's not like getting a new iPhone or something. It's truly like a new extension of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when, everything else in your body is going to shit and breaking down, it's like, I know that as long as this baby's charged up, like, I can move at the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking away the limitations that the world tells me that I'm going to have and that are already affecting me. Like, it puts me back to feeling like I'm a human again. Like, honestly, like, you feel so reduced to, like, subhuman that, like, getting something back is, I mean, I don't have the ability to, like, grip a pen anymore. And my expression, like, the way that I get stuff out is typically by writing them down. And so for the longest time, I had all these things going on in my life and all these emotions, and I had really no way of getting them down on paper. And this changed all that for me. So it's an opportunity that is truly once in a lifetime. And I'm just grateful that and so honored to be a part of it. When you go from waking up every day and just being angry at everything, it's so taxing, and it's so much wasted energy.
Sure.
And now I'm able to apply all that energy to stuff that can hopefully make a difference in someone's life. So that chair was actually lent to me by the Steve Gleason Foundation. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve Gleason, but he's an NFL player for the New Orleans Saints, and he was diagnosed with ALS. And his foundation helps provide these mobile chairs to folks that are not ready to transition into a full-time ALS power chair, but need something to help get around. And so they provided this chair to me, and it's been a lifesaver.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm still able to get around for the most part. It's not graceful by any means, but I'm still able to get by, which, some victories, the smallest victories for someone like me of just getting dressed and getting out of the house, that's can be a big deal. And like having that chair helps me out a lot with that.
So I just want to give a big thank you to Jake for allowing me to come into his home and interview him about his story with Neuralink. If you guys want to follow along with his story, he is on X at paired with _P7. And so I'm really inspired by his resilience and all of the work that he's doing with the Neuralink team. And he said that in the beginning of his journey, all of a sudden his X account started to blow up. And, of course, it was Elon.
One of my first tweets, I think Ryan picked up, and then Elon retweeted it. And so I'm sitting here, it's like a Thursday night. I'm sitting here with my friends, and my friend's like, Jake, like, what is going on with your phone? And jokingly, I was like, oh, I'm probably just going viral, And she's like, shut up. Like, you made one tweet. And sure enough, like I got like 2.5 million impressions in like 12 hours.
Yes, that's
And it was
awesome.
crazy that like just the reach that he has where it's,
I know.
and then, you know, it would like calm down, and then I realized that people on the other side of the world were getting up and seeing it.
Yeah.
So it was like, then it continued more
Yes,
and more.
second
So
wave.
it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet him?
I have not.
yet.
No, I haven't.
You think you will?
I would like to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially like with being in Austin and everything.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you guys are.
yeah.
That was my mindset too. I'm like, that's kind of why I moved here, was just to be in proximity of all the things that he's doing.
And I sincerely hope that everyone who needs a device like this, who has, you know, a debilitating condition, is able to get one in the not so distant future. So thanks so much for watching this video. I know it was a little long, but I really felt that it was, you know, a story that was worth telling, and I didn't want to trim it down at all. And thanks so much for listening. I love what Neuralink is doing for our future and for helping people.